Hello Internet, my name is Nebulous, and today we're going to be taking a look at and breaking down Clubhouse. Clubhouse is one of the oldest maps that's still in the competitive map pool and is pretty widely considered to be one of the most popular, easy to play maps. It's relatively balanced and it's seen quite a few different methods throughout its tenure. Now, in my other map guides, I've focused more around understanding the map from a defense point of view, what areas of the map to defend and control, etc. But with this video, I want to focus slightly more on the attacking side of things, as I feel defending Clubhouse is relatively straightforward. We will of course go over some defense tactics in terms of what areas of the map you'll need to defend for each bomb site, but mainly because Clubhouse is a great map for learning and understanding how to look at a bomb site and break down its components to pull off a successful attack. What I mean is that Clubhouse is a map that generally requires attackers to have a large amount of map control in order to execute into the bomb site, compared to a map like Coastline where attackers can safely pull off and execute with very little map control by holding good crossfires from outside the map. Clubhouse tests how well a team can work together. If you're attacking into Church and Arsenal in the basement, and your teammate makes a big individual play before anyone else on your team has actually made it into the map, there's not a lot they can do without the rest of the team collapsing through the main stairs, the kitchen hatch, or dirt. So while Clubhouse is relatively straightforward to defend, it can be quite complex for the attackers. So with that said, let's dive into it. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say if you do enjoy the content that I create here on my channel, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you think your friends would enjoy my content or maybe learn a thing or two, feel free to share my channel with them. Now onto the video. There's a concept I've talked about in previous videos, this idea of key positions within a map, positions that provide a large amount of pressure and map control to the team that controls them, whether that's the attackers or defenders. And I don't think there's a better map than Clubhouse to really demonstrate this concept, as depending on what bomb site you defend, the entire floor of the building can be used as a powerful position to lock down the opposing team. But rather than talking in abstract concepts, let's take a look at our first bomb site and show these concepts and how they actually apply to your attacks and defenses. So, jumping into everyone's favourite first pick bomb site on Clubhouse, cash room and CCTV. I think most people know how to defend this bomb site by now, but in case you don't, I'll run through it quickly. For your basic reinforcements, you'll want to invest a couple into construction, one on the external single wall and two on the cash room to construction wall. Then you'll obviously want two on the external CCTV wall. This leaves you with 5 reinforcements, and as a general rule of thumb, I'd suggest reinforcing the left side of garage to CCTV with a rotate in the right hand side panel, and then using all 4 of your last reinforcements on the external garage walls. As for your operators to bring, you can probably expect a Thatcher and or Maverick ban on this map, so bringing some form of wall denial is going to be beneficial. I'd also recommend bringing both a Jaeger and a Wamai in order to play and stay alive inside the garage rafters. As your 4th pick, I'd highly recommend bringing the Smoke, as he's pretty essential here, as the bomb site itself is very close quarters, so a well-placed Toxic Babe can be lethal, as well as being able to bring the shotgun to open up any necessary rotations as well as a secondary shield that's just invaluable in the current meta. And finally, as your 5th pick, some kind of intel, whether that's a Valkyrie or a Maestro or an Echo, just some kind of camera so you can get a gauge on where the attackers are coming from. So now we know what to defend, let's talk about why we defend these positions. I mentioned before that when you're playing Clubhouse, you can reasonably guarantee that you'll have at least a Thatcher, if not a Maverick ban as well. So let's assume they're both banned and work without them. Your first objective when attacking this site is to open up the external CCTV wall. Now, working with these operator bans and assuming the defenders aren't brain dead, there's a couple of different ways of dealing with whatever wall denial might be on the wall. The first and maybe most obvious of which just being to bring a Callie and use one of her lances on the wall. Equally, you can take an operator with explosives down to either blue stairs or into lounge through stock to explode underneath the CCTV wall and clear the denial that way. Or lastly, and the method that requires a bit of teamwork, is to have 2 people go to the CCTV window, one with flashbangs and one with frags, burn the ADS and then chuck a frag grenade at the wall through the window. The reason for the third method there is if you are playing versus a team that roams heavily towards lounge in the bottom of red stairs or in lower garage. Right, now we've opened up the CCTV wall, what's our next objective? Well, it's to take control of garage and rafters, and this is the objective that takes arguably the most time out of the round, and it's also generally where the round can be won or lost for the attackers. Like the CCTV wall, there's a couple of ways of taking rafters. The generally easiest way is by burning whatever utility is set up to defend rafters, and by stunning with a Zephyr or Ash and then pushing straight up the stairs. Equally, if you wanted to play more safe, you can burn the utility and then use a frag grenade or Capitão's firebolts to clear the defender out. So now you've got rafters control and the CCTV wall open, you're pretty set to execute onto the site. The only angles you need to watch really are anyone pushing up the red hall towards CC and the cash room door for any defenders moving into CC. But both of these angles can be mitigated if you're playing an ace or a Capitão or someone else with smokes. So to recap, the way you want to focus on attacking cash and CCTV is by taking control over garage and rafters, which is made a lot easier by first opening up the external CCTV wall. Because not only do you eventually need to open that wall anyway, but also because opening the CC wall applies a lot more pressure to the defender playing in rafters. You don't really need to focus on attacking garage until the CC wall is open either, as you'll just end up running headfirst into the defender's waiting bullets. The important thing to remember when attacking Clubhouse is to prioritize your list of objectives and to not get ahead of yourself trying to rush through and take map control without first taking the control of the supporting areas. Taking garage control without the CC wall being open is a lot less useful, and if you end up dying inside of garage, your team has no way of trading you out, so that map control is now useless. Next up, let's move on down to the basement and let's talk about Church and Arsenal, your probably second pick bomb site for Clubhouse. So a quick rundown for your defense, because there is really only one way of playing this site in ranked, and that is to bunker down and 5-man around site. The reason for this is because in order to defend Church and Arsenal, there's quite a lot of map control that you need to retain control over. That being dirt tunnel, blue, moto, main stairs. You need to be wary of kitchen hatch. You get the point, there's a lot to cover. As with most bomb sites though, there is more than one way of defending. You could SSG style roam and get a castle mutant mozzie up on the first and second floor in order to extend your hold out into bar, but keeping it simple is going to be far easier than trying to make anything more complex work. So reinforcements wise, it's super simple. 2 for dirt tunnel, 3 for church wall next to main stairs, not the church to blue wall, don't you dare reinforce any of that. The 3 first floor hatches, bar, kitchen and stock, which leaves 2 reinforcements total. Now, I like to use one on the Arsenal wall closest to the main stairs, otherwise known as like Rush Wall or Ash Rush Wall, so that attackers can't just take main stairs control and then rush straight through into the back of Arsenal, with a buck or a sledge or an Ash or a Zephyr. And then for the final reinforcements, I'd probably recommend either the Arsenal to blue wall or the middle panel of church blue wall. So if the attackers take moto control, your team can still play inside of blue with relative safety. As for the operators to bring, you can be pretty flexible with it. The only 2 things I think that are somewhat important to bring are a shotgun to make your various rotation holes and at least 1 set of impacts in order to impact trick the kitchen hatch. Other than those 2, you can be pretty dynamic with who else you bring. So onto attacking the basement bomb site. Let's start with your operator lineup. Now, this may be one of the few bomb sites in the game where I actually suggest not bringing Ace over Thermite or Hibana. The reason being for this is that due to how generally you'll want to be prioritizing taking control of bar so you can open the moto hatch, kitchen so you can force defenders back towards AKs, and then the main stairs and the push down blue. This way you can use the Hibana to open up your 3 hatches, leaving the Thermite to push down the main stairs and open up the triple church wall. Now obviously if Thatcher is banned and the defenders are playing with wall denial on the church wall, life becomes slightly harder, and this is where your drone work and intel gathering needs to be on point, because depending on how the defenders are choosing to defend, you can and should change how you structure your attack. So in the situation that you have no way of opening the church wall, you can instead focus your attack around dropping into Arsenal from kitchen hatch. This is the point I want to focus on when you're attacking not just this bomb site, but Clubhouse in general. Your drone work is your most valuable piece of utility. Being able to read into the defender's setup early enough into the round, and to then be able to formulate a plan of attack and your set of objectives for the round. For example, say you drone out and notice that the defenders aren't committing much, if any, utility into blue or dirt tunnel. You can move and take that map control and then structure your next objectives around that area of the map. If they're not defending dirt tunnel, you can easily push in to take dirt, and then move into kitchen and completely clear out all of the defenders inside Arsenal. Have 1 player at the bottom of main stairs to cut off the rotations from church, and you can freely get into Arsenal from kitchen hatch to plant the bomb. This is something to remember. Just because you have an initial plan going into the round, you need to be fluid enough to adapt to what the defenders have set up, so you don't just run head on into the defense. And if they don't have any visible holes in their setup, then you can go with your initial plan of attack. Too many times I see teams just run headfirst into the defender setup because their drone work is inefficient and they haven't properly droned out and figured out how they want to attack the map. Now, moving on to our third and really final bomb site of gym and bedroom. Now, before you head to the comments with, but what about bar and stock? I've got this cool strat that worked for our tier 5 team on bar and stock. Why don't you talk about stock? I'm gonna stop you right there and just say, don't bother. There is literally no reason why you should be trying to play bar stock room. The other 3 sites are exponentially more viable, and frankly, you're just throwing if you attempt it. So moving on to defending gym and bedroom, there's really only one way of holding this site, and that is by holding basically the entire top floor of the map. Reinforcements wise, you'll want 2 on the external jacuzzi wall over towards gym, 2 on the internal master bathroom wall, 1 on the single external construction wall, and then 2 on the wall between cash room and CCTV. This leaves 3 reinforcements for wherever you might want them. You could heavily commit to holding cash room and triple reinforce off the wall at the top of the red stairs. You could commit into holding logistics a lot more and reinforce between logistics and construction, and then 1 in the cubby into master bedroom. Basically, as long as you have the default 7 reinforcements down, you can rotate your final 3 to wherever you might need them based on how you want to defend. In terms of operators, this is where gym bedroom can get spicy, as this site is one of the few in the game where playing a castle is actually not throwing and is a pretty viable tactic, as you can place barricades on both the gym window and gym door in order to ban it trick the jacuzzi wall. Equally, if a mirror is available, you can place it on the window inside of bathroom looking out to jacuzzi, so that once the defenders open that external wall, you've still got another line of defense for them to get through. Basically, in order to successfully try and defend gym bedroom, you'll want to extend your defense out towards cash room, because even if you fall back after 45 to 60 seconds, you'll still be forcing the attackers to commit time and resources into that side of the map instead of going directly for the bomb site. As for attacking onto gym bedroom, there's really only 2 ways you can do it. You either attack from CCTV and cash room and aim to plant for the master bedroom door, or you attack from jacuzzi wall and gym in order to plant inside of gym. Seeing as both of these attacks look quite different, it's important you decide what attack you want to go for early into the round. Regardless of what you go for, you really don't need anything special as far as operators go though, which is the nice thing. As long as you bring your standard set of explosives, a hard breacher, and enough flashes to burn the utility, you'll be pretty fine. Because unlike the other sites on Clubhouse, both your attacks and defenses to gym bedroom are going to look very one-dimensional and linear. But that's because the only real route of attacking is via the windows along the outside and the hatch inside logistics, and then everything else can be achieved by clearing out one room at a time as you push through the map, whether that's clearing CCTV into cash into construction, or jacuzzi wall into bathroom into logistics. With that, we've pretty much covered everything you need to know about Clubhouse. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to cover bar and stock room, but I figure just to round out the video and to impart one last bit of knowledge or information, let's talk about why you shouldn't try to defend bar and stock room. So the primary issue with this site is there's no efficient way of rotating around either of the bomb sites. If you ever see teams play this site, you'll see them, rightfully so, reinforce the 2 lounge to garage walls so that defenders can play inside lounge to try and defend stock. The issue here becomes, however, that it's far too easy for the attackers to completely cut off lounge, which is really the only power position for defending this site, and they can do this without even entering the building. You put 1 person outside the front door, 1 outside on stock, and suddenly the only place you can sit inside lounge is crying on the sofa in the corner, which allows you as a defender absolutely 0 pressure towards the attackers. So that's the main power position for defending bar and stock. What about anything else? Well, you can try to defend vertically by roaming upstairs in cash room with vertical angles through the floor. Except that by doing that you basically put yourself at a man disadvantage on site, because the person holding top floor is then trapped by themselves with no possibility to rotate back to site. They can't rotate via red stairs for the previously mentioned reasons, they can't rotate main stairs because the attackers outside stock and kitchen can just hold that rotate easily, and they can't come via any of the drop down hatches because they're all in line of sight of where the attackers would be watching, like the construction hatch that leads straight in front of the stock door. So basically trying to defend bar and stock goes against everything we've learned today about holding power positions on the map, and how map control can be used by the attackers or defenders to completely cut off rotations. So that about wraps up today's video. I hope you've all learned a thing or two and enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a thumbs up down below, and if you didn't, feel free to dislike and leave a comment with why. Of course, if you do like the content I create here on YouTube, be sure to share my channel with your friends, and feel free to subscribe and ring the notification bell down below, so you don't ever miss any of my uploads. If you're looking to enjoy more of my face as well, I also stream over on Twitch every few days, and at the minute we've been checking out the new season, Operation Neon Dawn, over on the TTS, so feel free to go over and drop a follow over there as well as our community Discord, where everyone like yourselves can hang out and chat about new games, Siege, whatever you like. Now, if you're interested in any of the aforementioned things, links are, as always, in the description down below. And as always, until next time.